Ladies and gentlemen, the Red Menace comes to the Americas. Please welcome member of the Brazilian Chamber of Deputies, Eduardo Bolsonaro, founder of Movimiento Viva Mexico, Eduardo Verastegui, and your moderator, co-host of CPAC Now, Mercedes Schlapp.
How are y'all?
All right, CPAC, day 3. This is so exciting. How's it going so far? Are you all ready for the big speakers today? Well, I got to tell you, I am so honored to host this panel with two of my favorite people. They're both Eduardos, okay? And let me tell you a secret. They'll be presidents one day, and I predict that here. So let's get right to it. So let's get started here. Eduardo Verastegui, you might all know him as a telenovela superstar, filmmaker, and producer as well. And he's been our partner with CPAC Mexico. And just, if you haven't seen the movie, tell us the several movies that you've produced and done. Bella is one of my favorites.
Well, Bella was my first movie that I produced, where I was the lead actor as well, a pro-life film, very important film, a little film that has changed the lives of so many people, including my own life. Not because the movie won so many awards, but because the movie saved so many lives from abortion. It's a pro-life film, very powerful film that has saved thousands of babies around the world. Women that were pregnant, that scheduled to have an abortion, and after seeing the movie Bella, changed their lives and kept their babies. Thanks be to God. And then Little Boy was after, and now the most important film that it's coming out this year, it's called Sound of Freedom. It's based on the life of Tim Ballard, a true American hero who travels around the world undercover, rescuing children that are kidnapped for sexual exploitation. Child trafficking is a global problem, especially US and Mexico. Millions of children are kidnapped every year. These kids are being raped 15 times a day for many years. And after that, they open them and sell their organs. And when I met Tim Ballard 8 years ago, I promised to God that I would dedicate my entire life to end child trafficking here in America, in Mexico, and in the whole world.
And this is something that the fake news media won't cover, because they want to demonize conservatives. They want to demonize CPAC. And we went with Eduardo and his team to go visit these safe houses where there are human trafficking victims, these young girls between the ages of 9 and 18, and also a boys' safe house as well. And thank you, Eduardo, for that huge experience for us and being able to talk about making sure that we stand together and CPAC stands to end human trafficking. Of course, the fake news media won't cover it. But let's get right to this. Well, this is about the menace. The Red Menace comes to Americas. We're seeing more communists take over these important countries. I'll start with you, Eduardo, and then we'll go over to Bolsonaro. But really, what's happening in the region?
Well, you know, we know socialism is spreading like a wildfire. We have dictatorships in Cuba, in Nicaragua, Venezuela, but it goes beyond those three countries. Now it's in Argentina, now it's in Chile, now it's in Colombia, all over the place, and in Mexico. And, you know, we know that socialism is the cancer that will destroy everything. You know, and these people, they go through, through the elections, and sometimes, they steal them. Sometimes they win. Most of the time they steal them, the elections, we know that. And after they are in power, they take control of the institutions. They militarize government functions. They destroy the institutions and values of our Western civilizations, the dignity of the human person. They promote abortion. They promote the woke agenda, cultural Marxism, and they destroy our society. And now this is not just in Latin America, it's happening here. It's happening in the whole world. And I think events like CPAC will be the answer to remove them from where they are, because they are destroying our society. And I have hope that together we can, we can end communism. It's not just socialism. These guys are communists. López Obrador, our president in Mexico, he's a communist. Yes. He's destroying our country. He's destroying our country. And I love Mexico. And it breaks my heart to see our Mexican people, not flying like eagles.
Yes.
High because of López Obrador and his regime. He's a socialist, he's a communist, and we need to, remove him from office.
So we've also had the great honor of hosting CPAC in Brazil. You all have to understand, it's about saving America, but it's also about saving this world where so many countries, where CPAC is having an impactful reach internationally to stop the globalists and the communists. And Eduardo Bolsonaro, along with his father and his family, they've taken this leadership role in Brazil. So what, in your case, and answer the same question, what is happening in the region, especially as, why should us Americans care about what's happening in places like Brazil?
First, because Brazil is very important when you talk about geopolitics. Only to give you one example, and for sure you are intelligent and smart, you understand me. In case of a war, what would you like to have in your country? Iron to produce the war machines? Okay, Brazil is the #2 in the world. We produce 10 more times iron than the United States. Energy, we have more oil than Venezuela, than Kuwait, than Iran. Food, we are on #4 in the world when we talk about food producing. But somehow the United States this administration is not looking that much for Brazil. I think they are happy with the new president, Lula da Silva, who had a great meeting with Mr. Biden. Ooh. But, I don't know if you know, but this week in Rio de Janeiro, we received a warship from Iran, which is under sanctions here in the United States. Yep. And your administration here asked Brazil to do not receive that ship. Uruguay and Chile refused to receive that ship, but we got that in Brazil. So I don't know how the foreign affairs policy of the Biden administration is working with that, and I cannot understand how a big supplier of iron, food, and energy is going to the Iran or China's hand. So it's very hard for me to understand that. And to the last, when you talk about culture, we have a very similar culture here with the United States. The first embassy that we opened in the world in 1905, United States. One of the first countries to recognize our independence in Brazil, United States. The first destination of our emperor last century, United States. So we are very well connected. So what I ask for you here in the United States, going to the end, Mercy, and thank you very much for this opportunity, is cover what is happening in Brazil. Not only because we are friends, you are helping us, because we are very important for you, and we have to be allies, just like we had in the Second World War, when we fought together in Europe and Africa.
So let's make this clear. Iranian warships are docked in Brazil. Is that not a direct threat to the United States of America and our national security? And then what do we see? Biden and Lula, where they get together, and then weak Biden administration, Lula basically saying our democracies are both being tested. So where is Biden's alliance? Let me ask you this question. How dangerous is Lula da Silva?
Lula da Silva, he's one of the most dangerous communists or whatever, socialist, whatever you call, Bolivarianist in the world. Yeah. They are very well connected with López Obrador. They have the Foro de São Paulo group, which now they changed it for Grupo de Puebla, but it's the same thing. So they change experience. They have strategies to get in the power. That's why it's not a coincidence what happened in Brazil, happened in Mexico, happened in some other places. And mainly first happened here in the United States. All the issues that you look here, happening here in this stage, for example, gender ideology, change the sex of the children, and all of that, first, Mercy, born here in the United States. Then they copy and bring it to Brazil, to Mexico, to Chile, and all of other places. Yeah. And to finish, the first thing that Lula da Silva made when he took office, it was about gun control. First speech of Lula da Silva as president, he was canceling everything that Jair Bolsonaro made during the 4 years when he was president of Brazil. And during these 4 years, we saw the biggest drop ever in murderous rates in the whole history of Brazil. Just while Jair Bolsonaro was giving more access for people to buy the guns in the stores, not in the black market.
Right.
So more legal guns, less murders.
Yeah. Now, Verastegui, because I can't do Eduardo here, but let me ask you this. What is happening in Mexico? There's these massive protests occurring. There's election changes that they're trying to undermine the elections. Gosh, it sounds familiar. What is happening in Mexico?
Same thing in Brazil. Democracy is at risk in Mexico. López Obrador, a communist president, is destroying our country. They want to go back to one-party rule. They are destroying all the institutions, democratic institutions like INE, because they want to control Mexico. They don't care about the people. They always say, you know, we care about the people, we care about the poor. There's more poverty in Mexico.
Right.
If he really cares about poor, well, then why he doesn't do something where he makes Mexico great? Mexico has everything. It's a very rich country where a lot of poor people are living. Why? What? Corruption. That's the answer. But he's, you know, he always speaks about, you know, let's finish corruption, let's help the poor. It sounds beautiful. But in the practice, he does the opposite. It's more insecurity, more poverty. After Kamala Harris went to Mexico, abortion now is legalized in the entire country. See, the U.S. is like the big brother. U.S. is the big brother. It's the most powerful country in the world. Whatever happens here has an impact in the world, for good or for bad.
Yes.
Unfortunately, right now, the leadership of Sleepy Joe, it's hurting the world, not just the U.S.,
Yes.
but Mexico as well.
Yes.
Because imagine why Kamala Harris, que mala. He goes to Mexico, he meets in, you know, private meetings in secret. She comes back to the U.S., and a few weeks later, we experience what you experienced in 1973. So we need to experience what happened here after the 3 judges were elected, thanks to President Trump. So we have the reverse, Robbie. We need to do that in Mexico as well. We have hope because in 2024, we have 6 years over there. 2024, and the next 6 years, we're going to have 5 empty chairs in the Supreme Court. So we can reverse that. But we need to make sure that the next president, 2024, will be a pro-life president. And then things will change for the better. But we need to make sure here, too, that in 2024, we have a pro-life president.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And if that happens, not only Mexico, Latin America, and the whole world will change. So we need to pray for that. Pray for America, pray for Mexico. Let's make America and Mexico and Brazil great together.
Yes, yes, yes.
Quote Verastegui.
Thank you. God bless you.
Bolsonaro, let me ask you this. Eduardo brought up the Supreme Court in Mexico. You all have your issues with a corrupt, very powerful Supreme Court in Brazil. Explain what's happening there.
After the elections, what we had is a lot of questions about the integrity of our elections, just like here. But the answer is it was censorship and send some people even to the prison. Nowadays in Brazil, we have from 700 to 800 people in jail. Old ladies, people that were crossing Brasilia at that night when we had problems, just like as you had here on January 6th. But we never saw in the history of Brazil this amount of people going to jail. So again, what we ask for our American friends is to cover what happened in Brazil, because sometimes not even me I'm a congressman in Brazil. By our constitution, you have an article saying that I can say and speak about everything. My opinions, my votes in Congress, we have immunity for that. But after the elections, about 10 congressmen got the social media shut it down. Imagine here a senator that you like, I don't know, Rand Paul, Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, and then after the election they start to make questions about the elections, and then the Supreme Court say, okay, shut down the social media of the senator. This is happening in Brazil now. That's why it's so important, CPAC and some independent media, to cover what is happening in Brazil. Because sometimes not even me can come and talk about that because I will have some punishments in Brazil. For sure, not fair punishments, but they do that. To finish, and give you one more example, you have 2 journalists that are living here in the United States that they got their passports canceled by the Supreme Court. Can you imagine that? It's like you have no nationality. From the night to the other day, then you have no more passport and you cannot go everywhere you want. They are here in the United States because you are one of our last hope in the world. When you talk about free speech, when you talk about freedom, and all of that. So that's why we need to be connected and changing experiences, exposing what are they doing in Brazil, what are they doing in the US, because today is in Brazil, tomorrow is in Mexico, and then in the United States.
And this is not only happening in Latin America. I was just with our Spanish counterpart from Spain, the Italians. They're going through the same type of indoctrination of children, gender ideology, censorship of conservative, government colluding with big tech. So it is a global network of communists working and elitists and globalists working against us conservatives. So let me ask you, Eduardo, we've seen President Obrador talk about hugs, not bullets, this campaign where he basically wants to just kind of make peace with these drug cartels. What's the story behind that?
Well, again, it sounds beautiful, right? No bullets, hugs and kisses and everything. But in reality, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
It's the opposite. So, but at the same time, this is very important because problems that are happening in Mexico, somehow, it's because there is a demand of drugs in the US. Only through a bilateral effort, working together, we can end this nightmare. So our kids in Mexico can come out to the streets and play again like before. Now it's impossible. They recruit them. Imagine you live in a poor area, your kids are playing around, the cartels, they come, and they take those kids, and they become sicarios the next day.
Yeah.
So we need to stop consuming drugs, first of all.
And save our kids.
So we can save America and save Mexico at the same time. This is not about, oh, Mexico, look, I saw Netflix, you know, Narcos on Netflix. Well, hold on a second. It's happening because something is happening here too. So we're not just neighbors, we should be brothers. We should eliminate all the things that we have done to each other in the past that hurt each other. And we need to, you know, capitalize all the good things that we have done to each other. Then we can make, as I said before, America and Mexico great together. But first we need a true leader, pro-life leader, someone that cares about family, God, religious freedom, who cares about the people for real, not just speaking actions. President Trump is a president of actions, not just words. And in Mexico, we have a president right now that is all about words. He has a show in the morning. Can you imagine what time? I don't know what time he works. Because every day he is in the morning just talking and talking and talking and talking and talking. I'm like, what time he's going to work? You know? He talks like, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours every day. Why don't you just use that time to listen to what the people of Mexico cares? Listen to them and then give solutions. Not just talk, talk, talk. It's all about him. He's a selfish, he's a communist, he doesn't care about Mexico, he doesn't care about God. He's all about, you know, promoting abortion, destroying, again, the institution and the values of our Western civilization. You know, we need to remove him.
Well, we need to remove him. So there are a lot of rumors that you, Eduardo Verastegui, you're thinking of a run for president in the next election. Is that true? What's going to happen?
Oh, well.
You can announce it here at CPAC. Oh, no, you can't. You can't.
You know, a lot of people are keep asking me that. I'm thinking about it. I'm praying about it. You will be the first one to know. It will be a big announcement soon. I love Mexico, and we need to save Mexico. And I think we can do this together. Save America and save Mexico together and save Brazil. My brother Eduardo is an amazing leader, an example of the youth. And we need to support him because I believe he will be the next president of Brazil.